have 20 years of democratic practice to draw from and to see what are the lessons that we can take into the next decade. What is becoming clearer is the extent to which our underperformance as a society is linked to the low levels of expectations we set for ourselves as citizens. The great achievements of the last 20 years are the firm foundations on which we should be building for being a winning nation. Our beautiful Constitution and its human rights values and the supporting institutions that are truly a source of pride. The failure to put the citizen at the center of our democracy, including an electoral system that has severed the thread between the voter and the public representative, has created a dependent citizenry that feels powerless to hold those in public office accountable. Over the last few months, the ground has shifted and continues to shift in our politics. The ANC is losing ground. The halo of Madiba is gone. He is now a universal halo. He can no longer be owned by any one institution, even any one country. The ANC Youth League is a shadow of its former self. And the EFF, a child from the same tradition, is snapping at their heels. South Africans we've been talking to across the spectrum, whether they are urban or rural, have expressed a sense of desperation for change. They are tired of promises and just want to have the opportunity for them to earn livelihoods in dignity, to educate their children so that they can be ready for the challenges of the 21st century, and to live in safe and secure homes, streets, and working places, and to have a healthcare system they can rely on when they are feeling a little poorly. AGANG's distinctive voice is a clarion call to citizens to undergo mindset change from passive citizens to active citizens. Citizens need to take up the challenge of building a winning South Africa together. To build a winning South Africa requires belief in one's capacity to win. That is a challenge of mindset change that determines successful and unsuccessful competitors. You either are Bafana Bafana or you are the under-19 cricket team of South Africa. Which shall it be? That's what determines winning. We need to remember the momentum of the Black consciousness movement that led to the mass democratic movement, which included both Black and white people, because the consciousness of Black people enabled the consciousness of white people to be generated to the point where we could walk side by side and fight for this freedom that we are enjoying today. We now need a consciousness of our greatness as a people to be able to build a winning South Africa together. Black people need to rediscover the pride and the power of self-reliance and self-determination. Our value system of Ubuntu, reflected in the values of our beautiful constitution: respect for human dignity, equality, and freedom, must become again the guiding light in our personal, family, community relationships. We are once again on our own. We have to rely on solidarity amongst ourselves as families, as communities, as cities, as provinces, to move beyond the dependence on handouts and patronage. We must demand respect by those representing us in public office. We can't be told fibs about dropping of names and fire pools. We need more respect. We need to boost our own self-respect and self-confidence. White citizens need to develop a new consciousness beyond the spectator role in the political process that many have played so far. They need to develop a new consciousness as South African citizens. They need to become active citizens and fully embrace engaging in shaping the political culture of our democracy. White citizens also need to acknowledge the benefits they enjoy because Black people took the risk of forgiving injustices of the past in order to give birth to the freedom we're enjoying today. Our power as citizens to change our destiny cannot be underestimated. It is the only thing that has ever changed the course of history. A mass democratic movement of Black and white citizens must be a critical intervention by all of us who want to see our country succeed. So you might ask, what's the difference between AGANG, the ANC, DA, EFF? AGANG occupies a space in the political terrain that is different from other players in important respects. The DA has become and is becoming more and more like the ANC in terms of many policies, whether you're looking at BEE, land reform, employment creation, the NDP, the National Development Plan, electoral reform issues, and in some areas, even the style of leadership. The DA seems to be focused on how to perform the ANC or to outperform the ANC on their own policies, rather than focusing on proposing fresh ideas about how to tackle the development challenges of our times. The idea of a government creating jobs is undesirable, impractical, and unsustainable. That's the job of the private sector. The EFF has correctly identified the burning questions of our society: homelessness, joblessness, unaffordable education, land hunger, basic service provision that is not up to par, and many, many other unaddressed needs. It is not surprising that many young people who have been marginalized in the current circumstances would warm up to the EFF manifesto. They are desperate for a chance to live their dreams. The problem, though, is that the remedies proposed by the EFF fall back on the same track of promising more and bigger handouts to a passive people. Not only are these likely to be difficult to deliver upon, but citizens would once more be lulled into waiting, and inevitably, this is going to lead to frustration and anger, and we're seeing what happens in our streets. So, what is the way forward? AGANG believes that South Africans are capable of achieving much more than the better life that the ANC has delivered on over the last 20 years. The shacks, you see, the RDP houses, you see, the poor education systems, you see, the poor healthcare systems, that's what they've delivered. You've got to tick that box. But we believe that empowered citizens, able to hold their leaders accountable, are much more likely to build a winning country by collaborating with other citizens so we don't settle for second best. We need a turnaround strategy for our country to reignite hope and restore trust and confidence in the future. We propose a turnaround strategy for building a winning South Africa based on 5 E's: empowerment, education, entrepreneurship, effective government, and employment. We have, in many countries, low-cost private schools. Even here, we are beginning to have more of them. Charter schools, schools that are state-aided but are independent, which should be part of the suite that parents choose from. It is where there is competition that quality education will come to the fore, because a competitive environment really concentrates the mind. And where parents have the power to choose and to monitor, we have real action. Higher education must be free for all those who are able to learn. I'm pleased to hear that Regenesys is putting its learning material freely on the web. Now, we need to do that for all young South Africans so that we can take away poverty as the barrier to the development of talents and skills in the many, many brilliant South Africans that we have. But what's important is this free higher education should be in exchange for national service for graduates. So when you finish, you pay it forward by working in public service for 3 years, exposing yourself to an environment you may not have thought of as a career option, but also getting to love your country at close quarters. Government cannot and should not be creating sustainable jobs. It's impossible. And so to be quibbling between 6 million and 7 million, it's really not appropriate. The empowerment of citizens through excellent education enables them to participate in growing the economy and therefore growing the cake. Under an increasingly effective government, citizens empower themselves through the dignity of work and pride in home ownership. AGANG believes that we can and we must succeed in building a winning country together. A winning country can only be built on the foundations of self-confidence, of a people who are conscious of their own greatness. South Africans have demonstrated that they can rise to the challenges and succeed where others thought it's not possible to succeed. The resilience of South Africa's citizens is what has kept many going against all odds, both during the apartheid years and today. The time has come for citizens to use the power of the vote to usher in a new dawn in our democracy. The next 20 years can then become a period of building together a proud, rich African nation that can take its place as a winning country in the global community of nations. It is possible. Thank you.